Nowadays you see that also the south of the Netherlands is Catholic and the north is Protestant. Flanders was in the 16th century smaller than we know it today.
Can we say it was a civil war?
So we lost most of the merchants, except the Spanish. They stayed here in Bruges. The north became independent, and we stayed under the reign of the Spanish government.
Tras las huellas españolas en los Países Bajos, nos desplazamos a Brujas, uno de los enclaves más importantes del siglo XVI. Una ciudad católica que permaneció leal al Imperio Español hasta 1714. ¿Cuál fue la relación entre Brujas y España? ¿Hubo una guerra civil? ¿Es Bélgica católica? ¿Se puede hablar de leyenda negra en Brujas? Hoy, desde el Archivo Local de Brujas, el jefe del archivo, D Hondt, nos adentrará en la historia común entre Brujas y España. En una sala contigua, una escultura de madera recuerda a Carlos V, secundado por sus abuelos, los reyes católicos, y por la otra parte, Maximiliano de Habsburgo y María de Borgoña. Los Habsburgo, Borgoña y España, una combinación perfecta para entender el legado hispánico en Brujas.
That's the point I mean, no? Because the majority of them, they were Catholics.
Yeah. And that's the reason that we are nowadays still more Catholic, and in the Netherlands they are Protestants.
Bienvenidos un día más a Trincheras Ocultas, bienvenidos a un nuevo programa en el que volvemos a hacerlo, volvemos a desplazarnos al lugar de los hechos para contaros lo que ocurrió en el pasado y esas conexiones históricas entre España y otras ciudades, otros países. Y para eso nos hemos desplazado hoy aquí a Brujas, un lugar que profundamente católico en el pasado y formó parte del Imperio Español. Y para ello hemos conseguido contactar con una persona de un prestigio incalculable, porque estamos hablando del archivero del archivo de aquí de Brujas, que lleva trabajando ya más de 40 años, 7 como jefe de este archivo. Él más que nadie conoce estos documentos del siglo XVI y estas relaciones históricas entre España y Bélgica, Flandes y en concreto Brujas, donde nos encontramos. Vamos a hacer esta entrevista en inglés, así que voy a cambiar ya, voy a parar de hablar español para que nos entienda nuestro entrevistado. So I will welcome today here to our YouTube channel, to Trincheras Ocultas, our guest today. I would like to say correctly your name, D Hondt. D Hondt, is it correct?
Right.
Thanks a lot, Jan, for giving me this pleasure, this opportunity to talk with you about the common history between Bruges and Spain.
Okay, welcome in Bruges.
So, Jan, first question, what was the importance, the relevance of Bruges in the 15th, 16th century?
Yeah. There's a great difference between the 15th and the 16th century. 15th century was the high days of Bruges. It was an international city, international harbor. A lot of foreign merchants were here. We have Italians, we have Spanish merchants, we have Portuguese merchants, English, the Scots, a lot of merchants here, because there was, from the North Sea, you have an entrance called the Twin, where you could, with boats, you can go to Bruges. So Bruges was in the 15th century and popular, important. There were also the residents in the second half of the 15th century of the Dukes of Burgundy. They have here their palace here called the Prinsenhof. So there was a lot of people here, a lot of famous people, important people here. But at the end of the 15th century, there was political, economical, but also from the nature, because physical, a Twin, the entrance to the sea was sanding. It became lower and lower, and the boats couldn't go from the North Sea to Bruges. But besides that, you have also, at the end of the 15th century, there was the cities like Bruges were against their the Duke of Burgundy. It was Maximilian of Oostenrijk, and he made as a kind of punishment, because there was a rebellion in Bruges. They made he forced to go all the foreign merchants to Antwerp. So Antwerp took at the beginning of the 16th century the important role of Bruges over. So we lost most of the merchants, except the Spanish. They stayed here in Bruges, and all the other went to Antwerp, and Antwerp became more important than Bruges in the 16th century.
It's so interesting, this story, but why the Spanish merchants, they preferred Bruges as a harbor?
I think that's one of the reasons, is that in the 16th century we became a part of the territorial of the Emperor Charles V, and the Spanish merchants were here very long, and were also loyal to Bruges. It's from two parts, and that's also, I think, a reason that Maximilian from Oostenrijk, he agreed that they stay.
Okay.
That's also important to know.
We are talking about this part of Europe. It was one of the richest part in Europe in the 16th century. When Bruges was part of Charles V empire, did the people here in Bruges, they feel represented? Did they feel represented by Charles V empire at the beginning?
That's not so easy to answer. But we see when he made his first visit in 1515, so he was 15 years old. He was his first official visit in Bruges. There was a lot of enthusiasm here in Bruges, because he was then still a prince. He was not he was not already an emperor, but he was the son of the emperor, and there was a lot of joyfulness and enthusiasm when he visited Bruges. And the second time, it was in 1520. We see also in the documents that there were big festivities and so on. So there was enthusiasm from the Bruges people for their emperor. Yeah.
So with the Charles V, we can say that it was a calm period, no, with the reign of Charles V. But maybe with his son Philip II, the story completely changed, or
it's a bit complicated, because you have the Netherlands, the north and the south. Bruges is part of the south of Netherlands, but in the 16th century there became rebellion about the religion, and nowadays you see that also the south of the Netherlands is Catholic and the north is Protestant. But the source of that schisma is in the 16th century, because in the Catholic Church there was rebellion from Calvinists, Protestants, and that was more popular in the north. But also here in the south, in Ghent, in Bruges, in Antwerp, there was also the beginning of that Protestantism. But here the Spanish could manage that, but not in the north. And then you have kind of dividing or a divorce between north and south. And the south stayed loyal to the Spanish monarchy and stayed Catholic.
I think this is the main point. The South, they wanted to be loyal to the Spanish monarchy, and it's something that maybe in Spain we think sometimes, oh, the Belgian, they hate us, or the Belgian people, but it's totally the opposite because we can feel it with the history, the differences between the Netherlands and Belgium, and we can say that it began here, no?
Yeah,
With this.
it began in the 16th century. That's where South and North goes their own way. The North became independent, and we stayed under the reign of the Spanish government. Yeah.
Can we say it was a civil war between Catholic inhabitants here and Protestants?
Yeah, it's a kind of a civil war. Yeah. A lot of people of the north of the south who became Protestant and or became Calvinist, they moved away. You have a lot of families in the 16th century because between 1578 and 1584, we have also here a short period that Protestants were at the city government. But in 1584, we have the reconciliation as a cause of Alba, who regained a lot of cities in the north, and all the people who want to stay Protestant could leave the city and go north. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people went away, but the people which stayed stayed loyal to the Spanish government, to the Catholic Church. Yeah.
That's the point I mean, no? Because the majority of them, they were Catholics.
Yeah. And that's the reason that we are nowadays still more Catholic, and in the Netherlands, they are Protestants.
You mentioned Duke of Alba. I would like to ask you about Duke of Alba. What is the vision that in Bruges or in Flanders in general they have about the Duke of Alba?
Well, he was not so popular, I think, because he was with his army. He regained Bruges, but here in Bruges it was there were no deaths or it was peaceful, because the government of Bruges was smart enough to say when we shall rebellion against Alva, it's gonna be bad for our citizens. So they made a kind of agreement. It was we speak of a reconciliation of the Bruges people with the Spanish reign.
Okay, and what was the connection or the relationship between the inhabitants here in Bruges and the soldiers, the Spanish soldiers?
Yeah, I think, but
okay.
I'm not very sure that surely in the beginning, because there was, it was kind of uncertain times. You have troops of the Netherlands, troops of the Spanish people, of the Spanish military. So for the locals, it was not an easy time. So there were a lot of fear. So when it was calmed down, I think that was a better time to standing against the Spanish soldiers and so on. But I presume that in the beginning it was not so easy for the Bruges population.
And until what year was Bruges part of Spain, of the empire?
When Charles V became King of Spain. Mm-hmm. He was already Duke of Burgundy. We were a part of Burgundy. And when Charles V became King of Spain, he was also German Empire and so on. Since Charles V, we are speaking of the Spanish Burgundy.
And until what year we can?
We stayed under Spanish reign until the beginning of the 18th century. Then there was a succession war between France and between you have Spain, France, and also Autriche. But in 1715 or 1718, we became part of Autriche.
And what is the vision that people here, maybe in Belgium and in Bruges, you have about Charles V or Philip II, or you are not thinking about it?
No, they are not looking back as they were occupiers of we were. No. We know that Bruges was in the 16th and the 17th century not so prosperous as in the 15th century, but that was not caused by the Spanish government. It was because Antwerp was more important than Bruges. It was the golden age for Antwerp in the 16th century, and not for Bruges. But that was the reason was made at the end of the 15th century. But the 16th and the 17th century, it was especially then the 17th century was calm. Was not there were not too many wars so on in Bruges. So for the citizen, it was a good time.
Okay, because I think it's interesting that Charles V, he decided at the beginning to have the capital in Mechelen. After he moved it to Brussels, you are talking about Antwerp. So it was a difficult period regarding the competition, no? That Bruges needed to have.
There was always a competition between the big cities in Flanders. But the main reason that Bruges was not so important more than Mechelen or Antwerp was because the international traders, except the Spanish merchants, moved all the way to Antwerp.
And which was or what was the importance and nowadays of Flanders to understand Belgium nowadays? It's impossible to understand Belgium without Flanders.
No. But when you talk about nowadays about Flanders nowadays is not the same as Flanders in the 15th or 16th century. That was we have the Count of Flanders, and that was now you have some province in Belgium, and the province you have West and East Flanders, and those both provinces nowadays made the territory of the Count of Flanders. Because you have also Brabant, the Duke of Brabant, and the Duke is of Brabant, and these are the province of Antwerp, and Brabant is still a province. So Flanders was in the 16th century smaller than we know it today. But it was a very prosperous territorial and environment in Western Europe, with Ghent, with Ypres, and Bruges. They were the most important cities in Flanders. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this interview, because I think it's so interesting to understand what happened in the past to understand what is happening nowadays. And I think Belgium has these Catholic roots and this past that is linked with the Spanish Empire, we can say. And sometimes we don't think about it and we think that they are the same as the Netherlands, but you have a lot of differences, no?
Yeah. We have the same language in Flanders and in the Netherlands. But in the 16th century, there was we divorced. You can say it like that.
Okay. And if we need to find an important figure here in Bruges in the 16th, 17th century, a person who was born here, the most famous one, we can find an artist, a soldier, or a important person from Bruges in this period?
In this period, you have a lot of important. I'm doubting you have. That was a Spanish. You have Juan Vives, but I think he was born in Spain and stayed here in Bruges. He was known as an important man from Bruges, but I think he was born in Spain. Juan Vives is an important man. You have important painters like Peter Purbus is an important painter in the 16th century. Lancelot Blondel is also an important painter. He designed the chimney of the Emperor Charles V. Is made by him, Lancelot Blondel. Yeah.
And like we can find here like a lot of connections, no? Because you were mentioning Juan Vives. That's amazing, no? This like it was something. How can I say? Like it was a connection between Spain and Flanders. There were Spanish here, and you had this combined or history, we can say, or links.
Yeah, there was a lot of connection between the Spanish and the Bruges people, because you see it with the merchants, the Spanish merchants who came here. The first generation was still married with a Spanish woman, but the second or the third generation was already married with someone from Bruges. That is typical. There was a real integration between Spanish people and the Bruges people, and they came first. They were merchants, and in the third generation they became a kind of nobility, and they were active as a burgomaster or alderman in the city government. That's also an important evolution you can see here.
Now I would like to ask you the last question. Is something personal. Why did you choose, or why did you want to be an archivist?
Yeah, when I study history at the university in Ghent, normally you have two important options when you have studied that. You can going to give as a tutor, as a lecturer. I like to work with the sources, with the records, the archives, because in these records you find the real history. So that's my ambition, because you have here documents from 1500 and they're still existing. A lot of researchers use them, so it's very nice that you can help all those researchers to study the history of Bruges, of Belgium, of Europe.
Thank you very much, Jan. I would like to thank you this interview, because for me it was a real pleasure. I think we are in an amazing place. So thank you very much again. And I hope the people, like the viewers, the Spanish viewers, they will love your contributions today. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Y nosotros nos vemos en el próximo vídeo. Muchísimas gracias por estar siempre ahí apoyando. Espero que hayan quedado claras estas conexiones entre Brujas y España. Hay que ver esas raíces, ¿no?, católicas, que era parte del Imperio Español. Yo creo que es importante resaltarlo, y que permaneció leal hasta 1714, algo que a veces se nos olvida y queremos siempre juntar en el mismo saco, ya sea por la leyenda negra o por lo que sea. Queremos siempre juntar en el mismo saco a los Países Bajos y a Bélgica, y no. Son cosas diferentes y se puede ver a lo largo de la historia esas fricciones, ¿no?, que han tenido. Muchísimas gracias, no olviden dejar su me gusta, comentar, y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo.
A lot of documents of those nations, and you're written in Spanish. So, el libro de Rétolos, la nación de España.
La nación de España.
Yeah.